Cool. So, one thing that is kind of a tangent to this topic, but I want to make sure we cover it, is that Fleet is entirely manageable with configuration as code. Fleet has a nice looking UI. It works great. But Fleet is designed with an API first philosophy. And what that means is that every feature in the console, every feature in the product has an API endpoint for the most part. And what that means is that we can manage the console that way. A Fleet is built and runs out of the box with a command line tool that allows you to manage the console with code and a version controlled Git repository manager of some kind. It can be GitHub, it can be GitLab, it can be Bitbucket. We actually have starter repos available on the Fleet GitHub repo that would allow you to use those repository management tools out of the gate if you started using Fleet today. Um, that's all great. I'm not going to get into the details of that until we get into the question and answer portion and someone wants to ask me about that. But what I really want to talk about is the philosophy, a little bit of why we would want to use GitOps in an organization to manage the console. Um, and this is related to this main topic here today because uh, if you have what you're doing uh, as management available in public for your users to see, I think that could be another way of boosting that confidence that nothing is happening that they don't know about. It would be a way of being transparent. Another aspect is the security aspect. If you're doing management configuration as code, everything is in version control. It reduces the risk of someone making a rogue change at 3 o'clock in the morning that didn't properly go through the change management process that nobody knew about, and somebody had to figure out how to undo it by unchecking the checkboxes, right? If there's a thing that got done, you can undo it in version control. So I do want to briefly hit on this philosophy though, and I promise I'll be quick. When I talk about this, I like to talk about two aspects of the philosophy of GitOps. One is how can I improve my organization's change management processes? Why do we do change management? It's because usually we're trying to comply with rules and regulations or laws. We're trying to limit our organization's liability to lawsuits or legal action or breaking the law. And we're trying to make sure that we maintain the security of our assets, of our systems, of our money, right? Um, Change management is important for all of those reasons. But because those things are so important, at many organizations, there have been layers and layers and layers of change management process accreted on top of one another in a way that makes these processes very difficult. And for those of you that have long experience in IT, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the change management meetings that happen every Wednesday, or the manual PDF forms that you have to fill out and send to 6 different people before you can get a change approved in the console that you administer. Those are very painful things. And if you can get an agreed upon process where you're using something like GitHub to do pull requests and you're getting peer reviews on your changes and things are happening out in the open and the right people are approving that work, it can very much ease the change management process in ways that if you've never done anything like this, you can't even really imagine it yet. So I think that's one of the biggest advantages to using GitOps for doing stuff anywhere in your device management team, in your DevOps team. Managing things with code means that the work is being done with open, it's being reviewed properly, and it eases the pathways of your change management processes. The other thing is accountability. You want to make changes that are observable, reversible, and repeatable. And what I mean by observable is, like I just said, peer reviews, pull requests. What I mean by reversible is you've got stuff in version control. I've already talked about the rogue change at 3 o'clock in the morning. And this is, I think, an overlooked aspect of GitOps because people hear the word GitOps and they're like, what does that even mean? And then you say, well, it's configuration as code. That sounds hard. Uh, One of the barrier to entry is maybe fairly high. Getting started is something that you have to put some effort into. But once you have configuration as code for something like a device management console, I believe that it's actually easier to maintain than it is to maintain the proper state of a GUI. So I think that's a huge advantage is the long-term maintainability of a system like this to prevent state change.